Hello children, in this video we are going to study lesson 6 of class 4, Boy Scouts Forever. Okay, what is the meaning of Boy Scouts? It's written here, see, members of the Scouts. What is Scouts? It is an organization that trains young children or young people in practical skills. Okay, what are practical skills? Practical skills are the everyday work which we should do on our own, but we make our parents do it for us. Okay, so that, like, little bit of cooking, keeping our things on their places, arranging our own things and cleaning some of the things. These are the practical life skills, okay, which we should do, but unfortunately parents are doing it for us, so we should do our work. So these things are taught in Scout. Okay, so here the narrator is sharing some interesting incidences. Okay, let us see. We will begin from the first one. He says, I was a Boy Scout once, although I couldn't tell a slip knot from a granny knot. Okay, there are different kinds of knots, like you knot your tie, that kind of knot. Okay, or people make knot in different ropes. Okay, so these knots are those kind of knots. So I couldn't tell a slip knot from a granny knot or a reef knot from a thief knot, except that a thief knot was supposed to be used to tie up a thief. Okay, so he would only differentiate by saying that thief knot was used to tie a thief, or should you happen to catch one. If you happen to catch one thief, then this thief knot can be helpful to you. Then he says, I have never caught a thief and won't know what to do with one since I can tie a knot. So he's saying that he was not able to tie a knot, so he would not be able to say that what to do with these kind of knots. Then he says, just let him go with a warning, I suppose. He says if he would ever catch a thief, so if like he doesn't know how to knot a thief knot, so he says that he will let the thief go. Tell him to become a Boy Scout, and he will tell or preach the thief to become a Boy Scout and leave the work of stealing. Fine. Then be prepared. He says be prepared. That's the Boy Scout motto. Okay, motto, it was the aim of that scout. Be prepared. Be prepared means we should always be ready to face any situations. So be prepared, that's the Boy Scout motto, and a good one too. And actually it is a good motto, right? But I never seem to be well prepared for anything, be it an exam or a journey or the roof blowing off my room. So here he is saying that though the motto of Boy Scout was be prepared, but he himself was never prepared for anything. Either it was his exam, or he had to go on any journey, or even if the roof of his room is blown away. Fine. So he was never prepared for those things. Then he says, I get halfway through a speech and then forget what I have to say next. So see, he was not prepared. He's saying that he never prepared even for his speech. So half of the way he used to forget. Or I make a new suit to attend a friend's wedding and then turn up in my pajamas. Okay, so he already has got a suit to wear in the wedding ceremony, but he would forget to wear that and he would go there in his pajamas. So how did I, the most impractical of boys, become a Boy Scout? So now here he has talked about all his negative things, all his weaknesses. So now he is telling us how he has become a Boy Scout. It is interesting one. Let's go ahead. Okay, and he says, I was at boarding school in Shimla when it happened. Okay, so he was in the school when it happened. Okay, so where was his school? In Shimla. It was a boarding school. It means he had to stay there. Well, it seems a rumor had gone around the junior school What is a rumor? Rumor is some false information. Okay. So at that time he was in junior school. So he was still a junior then. Okay. That I was a good cook. So what was the rumor? That the narrator was a very good cook. So I had never cooked anything in my life, but of course, so he says that he has never cooked anything in his life. Still, people would talk that, oh, he is a good cook. So he says, but of course, I had spent a lot of time in the tuck shop. What is a tuck shop? Tuck shop is a small shop that sells snacks. Okay. So he says that he has worked in tuck shop making suggestions and advising Chippu. Okay, so he would not work there. He would just suggest Chippu, the one who was working in the shop, who ran the tuck shop, and encouraging him to make more and better samosas, jalebis, and pakoras. So he has never made anything. He only encouraged Chippu, right? Then he says, for my unwanted advice, he would favor me with an occasional free samosa. So naturally, I looked upon him as a friend and benefactor. Okay, so narrator would suggest Chippu all this suggestion was like unwanted. Okay, he was never asked. Without asking, he was suggesting. So maybe to keep him quiet, sometime the samosa vendor would give him some samosa to eat. Okay, and that is why the narrator started considering him as his friend, or maybe a person who gives him some benefit. Okay, with this qualification, I was given a cookery badge and put in charge of our troops' supply of ration. So this was the qualification which made him a good cook, and that is why he was given a badge of cookery club and made the in charge to supply ration. Now there were about 20 of us in our troop, and during the summer break our scoutmaster means the leader of the scout, okay, Mr. Oliver. What was his name? Mr. Oliver. So if you get the question who was the scoutmaster, your answer should be Mr. Oliver. Okay, so Mr. Oliver took us on a camping expedition. Expedition is what? Expedition means journey, beta. Okay, so his Mr. Oliver, okay, their scoutmaster, he took all the boys on a journey to Tara Devi. What is Tara Devi? Tara Devi is a temple crowned mountain a few miles outside Shimla. So Mr. Oliver decided to take Boy Scouts to this place called Tara Devi. Okay, now that first night we were put to work peeling potatoes, skinning onions, shelling peas, and pounding masala. So they were all preparing to cook something. These various ingredients being ready, I was asked. So all these things, when these things were ready, then because he was the head of cookery, so he was asked, what was he asked? As the troops cookery expert, what should be done with them? So he was asked that all the things are ready. So what shall we all cook? So what he ordered? See, he ordered put everything in that big dekchi. Dekchi is a big bartan, okay, a big dish in which you can call, you can ask your parents. It is just like a very big kind of earthen pot, but it is made up of metal. Okay, so he ordered to put everything in big dekchi. Then he said, pour half a tin of ghee over the lot, add some nettle leaves, and cook for half an hour. So all the things, remember all these things which are described here, the potatoes, onions, shelling peas, and the masala he has put, and on the top of the masala he told them, or he ordered them to put a tin of ghee, and then after that some nettle leaves. When this was done, everyone had a taste, but the general opinion was that the dish lacked something. Okay, so when they tasted it, they decided that something is lacking. It was not that tasty. So then he suggested to add salt. Then other people added more salt. Then again it tasted like as if something was lacking. Then he ordered to add a cup of sugar. Then sugar was added to the concoction. What does it mean? It is a strange mixture, okay? So sugar was added to the concoction, but still it lacked something. So sugar, salt, everything was added, but still something strange taste. It tasted something strange. Then what happened? Bimal said, "We forgot to add tomatoes." Bimal advised. So one of the scouts, Bimal, he advised that they forgot to add tomatoes. So never mind, I said, "We have tomato sauce. Add a bottle of tomato sauce." So in that dish, they added a bottle of tomato sauce. "How about some vinegar?" asked another boy. "Just the thing," I said, "a cup of vinegar." So after that, they added tomato sauce, vinegar. Okay. What happened then? "Now it's too sour," said one of the tasters. "What jam did we bring?" I asked. "Gooseberry jam." So see, on the top of these all things, they have added gooseberry jam in it. "Just the thing, empty the bottle." The dish was a great success. Everyone enjoyed it, including Mr. Oliver, who had no idea what went into it. Okay, so Mr. Oliver did not know what all these boys have put into the dish, but after all, it is rightly said, no, all is well when end is well. So after all, the dish tasted tasty. Fine. So the dish was a great success. Everyone enjoyed it, including Mr. Oliver, who had no idea what went into it. "What's this called?" he asked. So after eating, he asked, "What is the name of the dish?" "It's an all Indian sweet and sour jam potato curry," I ventured. So he spoke out, okay, that it was the name of the dish. So it is too long, no? See? So what they did then? "For short, just call it Bond Bhujji," said Bimal. So Bimal advised, "Let us all call it Bond Bhujji. I have earned my cookery badge." So he is saying here that he has actually earned, means he actually deserves that badge because he made that dish and everybody liked that dish, right? Let's move to the next part. So they are still in the camp, okay? Poor Mr. Oliver, he wasn't really cut out to be a scoutmaster, okay? He wasn't really made, like it means that he wasn't really appeased to be a scoutmaster any more than I was meant to be a scout. Okay, so here the narrator is comparing his qualities to be a scout in the same way the quality of Mr. Oliver to be scoutmaster. He says then, the following day he announced that he would give us a lesson in tracking. Okay, tracking is what? Tracking is finding things, okay, in amusing ways. He would take a half-hour start and walk into the forest, leaving behind him a trail of broken twigs. Okay, what is a trail? Here a trail would be called some clues to go on the next way. Fine. So what all he kept there? He kept chicken feathers, pine cones and chestnuts, and we were to follow the trail until we found him. So the boys were told to pick all these things and keep on walking until they find Mr. Oliver. So but what the boys did? They lost the track. Okay, unfortunately we were not very good trackers. We did follow Mr. Oliver's trail some way into the forest, but were distracted by a pool of clear water which looked very inviting. Okay, so they were first following all the things and the signs which the signs that were left by Mr. Oliver, but when they saw a lake, they decided to jump into it. Okay, so what they did then, abandoning our uniforms, we jumped into the pool and had a great time romping around or just laying on the grassy banks and enjoying the sunshine. Okay, so and in this process, they forgot everything about their scoutmaster. So they forgot about their scoutmaster and returned to their camps. Then what happened? Let's see. A couple of hours later, feeling hungry, we returned to our campsite and set about preparing the evening meal, Bon Bhujji again, but with further variations because it was not a particular dish. So this time they added something, deleted something, and made another Bon Bhujji. Fine. It was growing dark and we were beginning to worry about Mr. Oliver's whereabouts when he limped into camp. Okay, limped means somebody who is walking very, with a lot of efforts in a tired way. Okay, maybe like dragging his or her body. So they were worried towards the evening, they were worried about where Mr. Oliver has gone. And then they saw him limping and coming towards the camp, assisted by a couple of local villagers. Having waited for us at the far end of the forest for a couple of hours, he had decided to return by following his own trail. But in the gathering gloom, what is gloom? You can see it means darkness. Okay, in the gathering darkness, he was soon lost. Some locals returning from the temple took charge of him and escorted means shown him the way, escorted him back to camp. He was very angry and made us return all our good conduct and other badges, which he stuffed into his haversack. So he kept all those badges back into his backpack. I had to give up my cookery badge too. An hour later, when we were all preparing to get into our sleeping bags for the night, Mr. Oliver called out, "Where's dinner?" So, when everybody was preparing to sleep, so Mr. Oliver felt hungry because all these boys, they have eaten all what they have made. "We have had ours," said Bimmel. "Everything is finished, sir." "Where's Bond?" Then because Bond was the in charge, then he was called. So he's asking, "Where's Bond? He's supposed to be the cook. Bond, get up and make me one omelette." So Mr. Bond, the narrator, is saying, I can't make, sir. So Mr. Oliver is asking, "Why not?" Then he says, "You have my badge, not allowed to cook without it. Scout rule, sir." So he reminds him of a rule. "Never heard of such a rule, but you can have your badges, all of you. We return to school tomorrow." Mr. Oliver returned to his tent in a huff. What is the meaning of huff? It means in a bad mood, okay? But I relented and made him a grand omelette, garnishing it with dandelion leaves and an extra chili. And then he says, "Never had such an omelette before." He confesses it, okay? Blowing out his cheeks. Then he says, "A little too hot, but otherwise quite interesting." So Mr. Oliver is praising the omelette made by the narrator. "Would you like another, sir?" He's asking. So sir is saying, "Tomorrow, Born, tomorrow. We'll breakfast early tomorrow." Then he says, "But we had to break up camp very early in the next day. In the early hours, a bear had strayed into our camp." Stray animals, without permission they enter. So a bear had strayed into our camp, entered the tent where our stores were kept, and created havoc. What is havoc? The meaning is written here. It's lot of damage and confusion. So a bear has entered in their campsite and disturbed everything. With all our provisions, even rolling our biggest dekchi down the hillside, even that dish was thrown away. In the confusion and uproar that followed, the bear entered Mr. Oliver's tent, Thank God that Mr. Oliver was already outside. Okay, and came out entangled. Entangled means he was all trapped in Mr. Oliver's dressing gown, as you can see in the picture. It then made off in the direction of the forest with the same dressing gown. A bear in a dressing gown. It was a comic sight, and though we were a troop of brave scouts, we thought it better to let the bear keep the gown. Okay, it would be very dangerous to fight with the bear for the sake of the dressing gown, right? Let's discuss question answers. Question number 1. I was a Boy Scout once, although I couldn't tell a slip knot from a granny knot or a reef knot from a thief knot. Why does the narrator say this? Okay, so you can write that the narrator says this because he was not good at making different knots, or he was not good at identifying different knots. Second question, be prepared is the Boy Scout motto. Which incidents does the narrator use to show that he was never prepared? Okay, so you can come on this page, it's page number 56, and here see in the second stanza he has described in detail all the incidences that show that he was never prepared. Okay, let's see the next one again. List the ingredients of the all Indian sweet and sour jam potato curry, that was bond bhurji. So here, from here you can see, okay, what all they have put. Apart from potatoes, onions, then pounding, you can put masala, then you can write the names of the things from here. You can start taking the names from here till gooseberry jam. Okay, then you can write all the ingredients, okay, for the answer of question number 3. Then what happened to Mr. Oliver during the tracking expedition? Here you can write that during the tracking expedition Mr. Oliver himself lost the track and got furious on the boys. Okay, then the last one, what was Mr. Oliver's reaction to the omelette Bond made him? Okay, so I hope you remember that he liked it a lot. Okay, so he praised it and he liked it. To solve this match the column exercise, please find out the meanings of these words in a dictionary, and it would be easier for you to match with the meanings. Okay.